Whoopi said she lost 150 pounds.
She did.
You lost what, like 30?
I lost about 35 pounds.
What are y'all doing over there at The View?
As a former prosecutor, I see things in a courtroom other people can't see.
That's why I'm asking you this.
Right? Donald Trump was out of control. What does Donald Trump have? Insults? I don't even think he's a billionaire, but I think basically you put him in jail. Listen, our democracy is at stake, and here's why.
I'm joined today by one of the, I would say, the smartest legal mind of our time, definitely the smartest one in media. Sunny Hostin, she's a journalist, she's an author, she's a lawyer, she's the host of ABC's The View. She has a new book out called Summer on Highland Beach. It comes out on May 28th, and she is my friend. Thank you for being here.
I had to be here.
Thank you for this present. We're going to open it a little bit later.
Wait till you see it.
You know why? I'm going to talk a little bit, we'll get to business. I'm going to say, you look amazing.
Thank you.
Shirley Ralph was here, she looked amazing.
Yes.
Whoopi was here, she looks amazing.
Yes.
Whoopi said she lost 150 pounds.
She did.
You lost what, like 30?
I lost about 35 pounds.
What are y'all doing over there at The View?
Okay, I did the shot. I don't know what everybody else is doing. I'm not going to speak for
Whoopi said
anybody
Manjaro
else.
for her.
I was doing Manjaro, and I said this on our show. I gained 40 pounds during COVID.
During COVID.
Yeah, I did, and all I did was eat. And because we were only dressed from the top up, no one knew. And I came back a much larger person. My wardrobe didn't fit, and you know, I'm over 50, and I was doing all the things, intermittent fasting, and I got that from you, eat after 12.
I lost with intermittent fasting.
I did the intermittent fasting, it worked a little bit, and then I heard about the shot. And I was just like, you know, I'm like perimenopausal, I'm over 50, I've had 2 children, I am not gonna lose 40 pounds. Like, I could work out as much as I wanted. And within 6 months, it was gone. and I think for me, what's so great is, like, I'm not a big eater. Like, I eat to live, I don't live to eat. My husband says I don't like food, but I don't like a lot of food. So I didn't have to change eating patterns or anything like that. I do Pilates, as you know, I play tennis.
Okay, pre-Ozempic though.
Yeah.
You were thin. Right? You're not as thin as you are, because remember we were at the Tyler Perry thing and I said, Sunny, you're not going to eat. You said, no, I'm drinking.
Yeah.
Because you didn't mix.
Well, why should I? I mean, I'm drinking my calories.
Right, that's what you said. And I was like,
I was drinking my calories.
That's smart.
Yeah, I'm not going to eat a whole bunch and then drink on top of it. That's not smart. But you know, I grew up as a dancer, and so that's sort of what I do.
Yeah.
But the 40 pounds, I shocked myself. Actually.
I'm so glad that you are being candid about this. And
always.
Because I don't think there's any shame in it. And
there
I
isn't.
think science improves over time.
Yes.
And people like starve themselves and they don't lose weight.
They don't lose weight, especially a woman of a certain age, quite frankly. Like in my 20s, I would have lost that weight immediately. I think even in my 30s. Post 40, you know, you gain 10 pounds a decade. And so it was just very hard for me. And I will say this, like, for me, the physical is connected to the mental. And when I feel good about myself, I am mentally just more focused, I'm clear, I'm happy. And we have so much depression in this country, and if like that makes you feel better, I don't think you should be shamed for it. And I don't really think people should be asking so many questions about, like, you know, the Kelly Clarkson thing. Like, they were upset with her when she was a big girl, and now they're upset with her that she lost weight.
I missed that
She's lost
controversy.
a lot of weight, and she's like, I'm on the shot, and people are like coming after her, and I'm like, are you serious?
Well, that's her business.
Like,
it's
it's
same thing with
her
Oprah.
business.
They were like, let Oprah live.
Let Oprah live. She
let
looks
Kelly
good,
live.
and
she looks
and
great.
they're happy, and they're actually healthier because people are obese, and you've got all the heart, you know, high cholesterol and possibility of stroke and heart disease. I say, if you need the shot.
Pains. Yeah, but you know what you mentioned during COVID, because I look back, my face was huge.
We were huge. Everyone was.
And I remember the first time I had to wear a suit when we went back in the studio, I was like, oh shit.
That's what happened to me.
Damn,
I was horrified. I mean, how much jambalaya did you eat? And gumbo and Tim's cooking,
Cake,
right? And
my cooking, because he ain't cook.
Oh.
Cake,
all day.
Cookies, and where I was baking for the neighbors or whatever, and
Same.
then all of a sudden, boom.
Yeah, it just
but
happened.
I did that intermittent fasting.
That worked for you.
But you know what I did though? Also, men with muscle, right?
Different.
Lose weight faster. And then instead of getting in black cars or taxis,
you walked.
I walked.
I walk 3 miles a day. Because people, I'm not on the shot anymore, and people are asking me like, well, but why are you the same weight? Why are you the same weight? Because I haven't really changed my habits. I walk 3 miles a day. I do Pilates. I play tennis. I was roller skating in my house, broke my wrist, but I was roller skating in my house. I know.
Yeah.
It was stupid.
So now it's maintenance.
It's just,
Good.
I'm just doing what I've always done.
And guess what? If you start to come back, just get back on the shot. I'm telling
sure
you, there's
would.
no shame in it.
I sure would.
So we're going to talk about the book, and we're going to talk more about our friendship and life and everything. But I want to start with some breaking news because you were in the courtroom, okay?
Yes.
But we're going to talk about that after Donald Trump and Michael Cohen.
Okay.
The breaking news, though, today is about the presidential debate.
Yes.
Joe Biden and Donald Trump have agreed to two actually, ABC
and CNN.
Yeah. I don't know if the ABC one was without an audience, right? But CNN's is without an audience. But first, what do you tell me? What are your thoughts on the debate?
Look, I think if you look at the statistics, it's clear that debates don't necessarily change people's minds, especially a debate in June, for example. The other debate at ABC in September is closer to early voting. I think that may make more of an impression. But the bottom line is, I do think it's very much a part of our American democracy to see the two top contenders tell us what their policies are or will be. Tell us what they have done or will do. I, as an American citizen, want to hear from the president. And what I love, or the potential new president, what I love about Joe Biden is, Donald Trump can tend to be a bully. And I think bullies respond to force. And I think they respond to being ridiculed and to being challenged. And Joe Biden said, make my day. I love that Joe. I love that tough Joe. I love that sort of punchy Joe. And that's what we saw. And Donald Trump had to debate because Joy Behar's telling me that he's going to cancel the debate. He's going to wiggle his way out of the debate.
Trump will.
Trump will.
Really?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think he's going to show up.
Okay. All right. So what do you think Joe Biden's odds are? Because you know what the right does. You know what Donald Trump. He can't talk. He can't speak.
Yeah.
He's in cognitive decline. None of which I believe, but.
Well, we saw the State of the Union address, right? He was just on fire. He stood there for a long time. He gave people what they needed to hear. I think we're going to see the same thing. He's beaten Trump in 2 debates. That is a statistic. He has beaten Trump in 2 debates. Why would he not beat Trump this time? I mean, he's facing a criminal. If I were debating him, I would start every single sentence with, on the other hand, my opponent is either a convicted criminal, because by then in June he'll be either a convicted criminal or someone that was acquitted but is facing 3 additional trials. I mean, I would hammer that in all the time. He has zero credibility.
Who is liable for assaulting a woman.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right.
My opponent, who is responsible for the overturning of Roe v. Wade because of his activist justices that he's placed on the Supreme Court. He has so much to work with. What does Donald Trump have? Insults?
Yeah.
What does he have?
You think he should be doing it because he does have the stutter and he does get, sometimes
I think he should be doing
he loses a train of thought. But I lose my train of thought.
I do too, and I have to tell you, when you look back at the tape of the other debates, he creamed him. There was no comparison. I mean, you're talking about a statesman versus a criminal.
Yeah. You said June. That's early.
I
Why?
think it's early. I'm not sure why that date was chosen. I think September is more important, but maybe he just wants to get ahead of it, right? Because early voting, I believe, starts in September, and so June feels a little bit early, but let him get his message out.
Why no audience? I kind of like it.
It's much better. I mean, if you look at some of the CNN town halls.
Oh my God, a disaster.
It's just
I mean, the audience was a disaster.
Yeah, you have Caitlin Collins, who in my view is pretty junior at doing this kind of thing. They gave her this huge job, this huge platform, and she couldn't fact check somebody like that in real time. It'd be hard for me, a seasoned prosecutor, to fact check a liar like that in real time. It wasn't set up correctly, and quite in my view, there were, yes, men and women in the audience. It was just a MAGA cult audience, and they were cheering him on, and he feeds off of that. So we didn't get policy, we got a showman.
Well, that's what I meant. The audience was a disaster because they were screaming and cheering. Yeah,
it's a disaster.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And so we don't need that, and I love the idea of cutting the mic after the time is up. That's how you sort of control him. I also don't think he should be able to stalk the other candidate the way he did with Hillary Clinton, right? You don't need him being able to move outside of from behind the podium. He needs to stand at the podium, answer the response, and do it. I don't think he's going to be able to
do that.
He can't control himself. I've seen that in the courtroom. As you mentioned, I've been sitting in the courtroom for his criminal trial. He is like I believe he has sort of the restraint of like a toddler. Like he cannot control himself, and it's very, very obvious.
But a toddler at least is accountable, is held to consequences. It gets time out.
By their parents, yeah.
But who's going to do that? He can't, even in the court, he's not getting a timeout. Because you're a prosecutor.
Yes.
Yes. Wouldn't the average citizen be in that cell downstairs in the basement if they had defied a gag order?
No question. No question. I think certainly it's a little bit different because you're talking about a former sitting president, right?
And the possible next president.
And the possible next president. And so I think it's different. Secret Service can be there, and I you know, at Rikers or wherever they want to hold him at 100 Center Street. I do think defying a gag order 10 times is just unheard of.
What would Judge Sunny do?
Oh, he would be, you know, he wouldn't be in the courtroom. He would be in jail, and he would be listening to his trial there.
Wow.
For me, yes.
And you wouldn't care about the consequences?
No, I mean, think about Judge Ito. Think about the O.J. Simpson trial and how he lost complete control over the courtroom. You know, the prosecutor has a lot of control because you're putting in the evidence, and the defense attorneys are there to make sure that you get sort of, you know, the scales of justice are even. But the judge has to keep control of that courtroom, and Donald Trump was out of control. I think you send the message not by fining him $10,000, but not a billionaire. Well, I don't even think he's a billionaire, but I think basically you put him in jail.
Okay, but I got a little ahead of myself because I want to talk more about the courtroom because you got in there. But let's finish Biden, then we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so Joe Biden, you saw the polls. I should say President Biden, want to be respectful.
Yeah.
President Biden is behind in all the swing states except for Wisconsin.
One. Yes. Mm-hmm.
How do you think he's going to make up lost ground if he's at Pennsylvania? He needs, I mean, did you see Nevada and Michigan?
I did. You know, I don't think one should avoid pointing this out. I think Joe has to get it. President Biden.
Yeah.
We both know him, so I think that's why we feel comfortable saying that. But I think he has to get in front of it. I think he's done amazing things. He brought us back from the brink of disaster, from the pandemic, the infrastructure bill. He's a student loan debt. He's done so many great things. Inflation is down. Gas prices are down. Yes, people are feeling it at the grocery store. Even I'm feeling it at the grocery store. But he has made just great strides, and I think he needs to get out there and have surrogates out there speaking on his behalf. He should be speaking more, which is why I think he's doing this debate. And I think that we're still a ways out. What is unfortunate is that if you look at Obama's approval rating and Clinton's approval rating about 6 months out, they were doing better than President Biden. And that's just a fact. So that means they have work to do.
But he's losing, not to mention, though, when you talk about the things that he's doing, not to mention, you know, you've got the child tax credits and all of those things that he's doing.
He's done a lot.
Yeah.
He's done a lot. But people don't seem to know about it. You know, I think when we were at home in our own bubble, we realized that our grocery bill is higher. I mean, Gabriel came home, my son came home from college. He eats a lot. My grocery bill it's just doubled, just like that, with an additional person in the house, a big person, you know, 6'1" person, but that eats a lot. But I was surprised when I went to the grocery store.
And also, not to mention a really obstructionist Congress and Senate who they don't want to do anything. And I was saying, and I think you did too, you were like, Joe, why are you trying to work with them? They're not going to work.
They're not going to work with you.
But look what he's gotten done with that, even in spite of that.
With that, because he's a statesman. He's been in the Senate forever. He's given his life to service, right? Because that's what that is. You don't make a lot of money being a senator. People think you do. You don't really. You don't make a lot of money being president unless you're former President Trump, who seemed to milk the White House for his own gain.
But he's losing among young people.
Yes,
he's losing among black and brown people.
Yes.
What do you think is up?
You know, I can only speak anecdotally about young people because in my house, I have an 18-year-old and a 21-year-old, and we talk a lot about politics. And they understand that you have a binary choice. One will likely become a dictator, and this country will not be the country, will not be recognizable. And the other man has done a lot of work, is getting older, but won't destroy our country. They understand that. I think that the message has to get out to Black and brown folks, to young voters, that it is a binary choice and you can't sit this one out. This is one of those times when everyone needs to be an activist. This is, I think we are on the brink of losing our democracy. Yeah. The stakes are very high. So I think that's the message. But I also don't believe that these young people don't know what they're talking about. I think that we're really giving them some short shrift when we're saying things like, you know, they don't understand the Middle East and they don't understand what they're protesting for and they don't understand. I mean, I don't have to understand everything. I didn't have to understand everything about South Africa's politics and history when I protested against apartheid. So these kids know what they're seeing and what they're feeling. And I think we should listen to them. If anyone's going to save this country, it's going to be the young people.
You think that the support of Israel has something to do with these numbers that I mentioned?
I do. I think it's not so much the support of Israel.
The government, the policy, the war.
I think it's and I think these are anti-war protests. I think they're seeing dead babies. I think they're seeing dead young people. I think they're seeing dead women. And I think they're seeing a humanitarian crisis. You know, this is a group of kids that lived through a pandemic. They've lived through active, police active shooter drills. And so when they are protesting and they want their voices heard, to be met with violent police force, can you imagine that? Violent government reaction.
The state.
Yes, the state. 97% of these protests were non-violent. 97%. Yet what we are seeing is, oh, they're violent. The violence has been coming actually from the government. And so
from the police coming in, you think to break it up?
Yes,
is that what you mean?
Yes, that's what the stats are showing now, the latest stats. So I've got to tell you, I think the wrong message is shut up and dribble. Shut up and go to school. Okay. Shut up and graduate. It's the wrong message.
Okay, this is how I feel about it. And look, this is a very nuanced conversation. You know you can't win, especially on TV, right?
No.
But we can go deeper on this thing.
Yeah.
I believe that you have to figure out how to somehow draw these kids in instead of telling them, you're dumb, you're stupid, you don't know history. It's the same thing as when you tell a Trump supporter that you're stupid, whatever.
That's ridiculous.
Makes them
harden, and they dig in their heels.
Yeah.
And I was just coming from a sample sale with Joy Behar.
Yeah.
And we come out of our building.
There's a protest.
The construction workers, they're yelling Trump 2024 at us.
That's you guys.
I want to have a discussion with them. Why? Why do you think that?
You went to have a discussion with them?
Yes, they didn't want to talk, but it's sort of devolved pretty quickly. But I want to hear from them. Like, what do you see in him? What do you think how do you think he's going to make your life better? I completely agree with you. Like, we can't just say, oh, they're part of a cult, they're dumb.
Right.
That's not getting us anywhere. It's also not refining the message that, listen, our democracy is at stake, and here's why. And I think the same thing about our kids. I think we need to speak with them.
Well, I know this one is an unusual situation for you because you're saying that the kids should be allowed to protest or seeing dead babies, but you have some Jewish. Your grandmother was Jewish.
My grandfather's Jewish. Yeah, and that's what's so funny to me, that people will say when you are anti-war or you support your constitutional right to assemble freely and peacefully, that you're an anti-Semite. And being of Jewish ancestry, that's always kind of shocking to me, that criticizing policies, right, and upholding the Constitution is somehow being anti-Israel. I'm not anti-Israel. I'm not anti-Semitic. But I do believe in peace, and I do believe in humanitarian crises, and I believe that the people have the right to speak up about how they are feeling. That's very American. And the lawyer in me is kind of disappointed when people are like, shut up and don't voice your opinion.
The thing is, when you are a journalist and you ask these questions, people get very upset, as you know.
They do.
And so, I'll say, what about October 7th? What about the hostages? You are for genocide. And
October 7th was a horrible day. And we can't forget that, right? I mean, innocent people were killed. People were taken away from their families. people that I've spoken to. It's a horrible thing. You know, more Jews were killed than since the Holocaust. It's a massacre. But then, if you're a humanitarian, you also have to, and a lawyer, you also have to think about, is there collective punishment going on here? 35,000 people have been killed, according to the Palestinian Authority.
And still hostages.
And still hostages. And so is this war being waged appropriately? And what can we do to bring peace? And I think that's really the issue, as opposed to, you're pro-Hamas. Nobody's pro-Hamas. Who would be pro a terrorist organization?
Right.
Like, no one is that. But I do think that we have to think about the innocents. You know, I mean, I'm Catholic, as you know.
Yeah.
I'm a
There are still
humanitarian.
hostages
It's
there,
important.
you know, Sunny, and
There
you know,
are, but there has to be.
That's Hamas. That's different than the
That's
Palestinian
different than the
people.
Palestinian people. And you know, I was just reading that Hamas has actually been surveilling Palestinians and jailing them because they have been anti-Hamas. They haven't
So they're
had an
getting it
election.
from both sides.
Yes, they haven't had an election in over 20 years. So these aren't people that the little kids that are dying, the young people that are dying, they didn't vote in Hamas. But people aren't, you know, it's just so rife with personal feelings
Yeah, I know.
that I think
Boy, don't I know.
when you're too
because we have a lot of friends who are on
yes,
each
when
side
you're
of this
very
thing.
analytical.
Yeah.
When you're an analytical thinker, which I think we both are, it's hard to see people's arguments colored by emotions, because facts trump emotion every single time.
All right, now let's talk about the courtroom. Major case going on in Manhattan.
Yes.
You're there, former prosecutor. You went into the courtroom. Were you there
Several
for
times.
Stormy Daniels, or were you there for
No,
Michael Cohen?
I've been there for Michael Cohen
And
because
were you-
I've interviewed Stormy Daniels twice,
Yeah,
and so
same.
yeah. So for me, I find her credible.
Very credible.
She's very credible.
Very nice lady.
Very nice lady.
Professional.
You know,
And stop trying to slut shame her. Or
I
whatever
believed
for
her.
her profession.
Yeah, I believed her. I don't think we should shame sex workers. I'm not into that. So for me, I wanted to hear Michael Cohen, you know, disgraced lawyer, former Trump loyalist, the fixer. And I've interviewed him as well, but I wanted to see the jury. I think as a former prosecutor, I see things in a courtroom other people can't see.
That's why I'm asking you this.
Right? So I wanted to check out the jury. I wanted to check out the jury composition. I wanted to check out whether or not they were awake and taking notes. All the above, yes. I wanted to find out whether or not he appeared credible. And he did.
He did.
Yes, he did.
Everyone said he was strong, and I spoke
very
to another
credible.
attorney who knows Michael Cohen and's been reading the
Yeah.
transcript, and he says Michael Cohen is smart. Sometimes he's too smart for his own good, but he is
But
standing
here
up.
he is standing up. And what I did really think the prosecution did a really good job with is they took the sting out of all this stuff, right? We know he's been convicted. We know that he's lied for President Trump. We know, though a lot of people don't know, is that he's a family man. One thing that they brought out was he didn't want necessarily a job in the White House because he didn't want to be taken away from his family, but it was his ego that got the best of him because he wasn't even asked.
Yep.
That was very human, and they showed some text between Cohen and his daughter, and she says—
was sick at the time.
She was sick, and she says, you know, I'm worried about you, and he says, I'm gonna be fine, something like that, I'm paraphrasing. She says, I love you, and he writes, I love you more. That's dad.
Yeah.
That's dad. It made it very, I write that same thing to my kids, and then one of them will jump in and say, I love you more, and then I write, I love you mostest. It's something that parents do all the time, and so I immediately looked at the jury, and they were nodding their heads.
I said to him at one point, then why did you, I guess he pleaded guilty or whatever.
He did.
Why did you succumb to it? And he said, because I did not want my family going through this
Anymore. Yeah.
And you can understand that.
And it came across.
Yeah.
It came across. It came across as someone who, he admitted to having been part of the Trump cult. He liked being close to an alleged billionaire. He liked being close to a power center. He enjoyed working there. He was very loyal.
Very loyal. He used to call me Sunny. I don't know if he called you.
No.
Why are you so hard on Donald Trump?
He did not. He
Yeah.
did speak with Joy Behar,
Yeah.
and I was like, Donald Trump is going to turn on him.
And you were right.
As he did.
Yeah.
He did. But I was struck by the fact that there are 2 lawyers on the jury. One is a corporate attorney. The other one is a civil litigator. There's a former a retired wealth manager on there, and the foreman is a salesman.
Oh.
So when they're hearing these antics and these shenanigans, they recognize it. And when you have a document-intensive case as this one is, and Michael Cohen, by the way, has all the receipts for everything he's saying, I looked right at the jurors, especially one of the lawyers. He's seated in the back to the right. He has a legal pad.
I was going to say, are they taking
It's
notes?
a white legal pad, and he is scribbling furiously, and he is looking at the screen where all the documents are.
Oh, wow.
And that struck me. What also struck me, Don, is that I have binoculars, access to binoculars.
Yeah, they were trying to ban them at one point.
They were trying to ban them, but we're allowed to use them now. And there's a camera directly at Trump's face. And I just honed in on his face because when I was a prosecutor, I wanted to look at the defendant because the jury constantly looks at the defendant, and I want to see what's going on. He's not asleep. A lot of people have been reporting he's sleeping. He has his eyes closed and he is clenching
his mandible, his jaw.
He's clenching his jaw, and his fists are sort of like this, and he's doing this. He is trying to control his rage. That's how I read it. And the jury is staring at him. And that's why I say I really think that's coming across. You can't just report what's happening without reporting the real emotions. And those are the emotions that are going on in the courtroom.
Okay, so there was one point where the judge said he was grunting and whatever, and he said, told Todd Black, you got to control your.
You got to control because and he wasn't grunting when I was there, but he was
doing that.
Doing this thing.
Okay, so do you think have you seen the research that shows that most people are not, I should say many people, probably most, are not paying attention to what's going on?
I've seen that research. I think the media isn't doing the best job at some of the reporting, but I will say this, if you look at other research, 71% of Americans have said if he is convicted, he should go to jail. Over 50% of Americans
he can still run if he goes to jail.
He can still run, but 50% of Americans are saying, I think it's about 54% of moderates, independents, if he is convicted, they will not vote for him.
Okay.
That makes it matter.
Okay, but do you think that not having cameras in the courtroom affects that number?
No, I don't.
You don't?
Not with the
Shouldn't
conviction.
they see the?
I wish they did. That's a New York policy, and some judges in other jurisdictions have allowed cameras in the courtroom, like the O.J. Simpson trial, like Trayvon Martin. There were some cameras in the courtroom when we were there, I believe. But I have to tell you, it's a pretty strong case. I do wish there were cameras in the courtroom. I testified in front of Congress about the need for cameras in the courtroom.
I know.
And it's unfortunate. But a conviction will matter.
You know what a verdict will do. We were both around for OJ, and we were both there for the Trayvon Martin.
We were.
Oh, that was so shocking.
It was shocking.
And then Mark, what's his name, came on.
Mark Furman.
No, the Mark Furman in that case, but in the Mark who represented Zimmerman.
Oh, yes. Oh, gosh.
Anyway,
Mark.
I'm having a senior moment.
Yeah, I am too. We know him, though.
But he came on and he explained what he thought had happened. So do you think the prosecution is making its case?
Yes, and this is why. I think the Trayvon Martin case was definitely a case of, a young little boy, in my opinion, who was no longer there and couldn't tell the story. And you had eyewitness testimony, which is the least credible testimony. This is a documents case.
I love that you say that because everyone thinks like an eyewitness it's like the worst testimony.
It's the worst. It's the least credible, actually. I hated trying cases with just eyewitness testimony because people's memories fade and they get it wrong. IDs are really fallible. But I will say that this is a documents case. It's a documents case, and the facts are the facts.
The receipts.
And Michael Cohen actually kept a voicemail, and Trump's voice was played to the courtroom, and he's talking about $150,000.
Yeah.
How do you unring that bell if you're the defense? How do you do it?
I don't know. I was name checked yesterday, right? The other day.
No.
I should say the other day.
Were you?
I was name checked because Michael Cohen did an interview with me where he talked about somebody searching his house or turning over his phones or whatever.
Yes.
And they were like, did you leak it to CNN? And why did you leak it to, you were on with Don Lemon, did you leak it to him? And I'm like, I'm interviewing him. There's no leak. He's sitting in
right
front
there.
of a camera.
The View came up as well, which was hilarious. I'm like, why are we in the news? Okay.
That's what I thought. Like,
Yeah.
why am I in the news? It's just a typical interview.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to tell me about the trial? Because while I have you here, I think it's amazing.
I will be there next week for closing arguments. I just think it's going to be wonderful to sort of see the jury's reaction, which is what I always look for. During closing arguments, I want to hear the prosecution tie it all up with a bow, and I want to hear what the defense says. I don't think Trump is going to testify, even though I think he is controlling the narrative in that courtroom.
That would be amazing.
And it would be amazing. I will be there if he does, but I also want to see the jury when they come back in, because trials are won and lost during jury selection, in my opinion, and in Mark Aragos' opinion. I don't agree with him on anything, but I agree with him on that. And I want to see if they look at the defendant. Generally, if they don't look at the defendant, they're going to convict. And generally, it depends on the amount of time that they're out, whether or not it inures to the benefit of the prosecution or the defense. So I'm going to be there for that part. It's very inside baseball.
Can you text inside the courtroom?
If you're in the overflow room, yes. If you have your laptop in the regular courtroom, yes. I will text you.
Okay, I'm going to be texting you. Sonny, tell me, what's up?
I will text you.
I'm going to want to know. Wait, I was going to ask you something, and I cannot remember. Crap. About being, the whole thing about, because this may be the only one that goes to trial before.
Unfortunately, yes.
And Georgia might have, but for.
It was an unforced error.
Okay, you know where I'm going, don't you?
It's an unforced error.
I know, and look, it's hard for women, it's especially hard for black women. They're like, it's none of her business. I had Tiffany Cross on, and Tiff is like, I don't care. You got a man who tried to overturn an election. She's not on trial. He's on trial.
Unforced error.
Okay. And Angela was like, Angela was really good. Angela Rye, she said, if she had to make that decision all over again, I bet she'd make a different decision.
That's how I feel.
Okay, go on.
I think she would have made a different decision. I think the stakes are way too high for you to have an affair with someone that reports to you. It's just, it has the appearance of impropriety, even if there was none. And as a prosecutor, you represent the people of your state, or you represent, as I did, the people of the United States. You've got the highest stake trial of your career. Why?
You know, Black Twitter's going to be mad at you if you.
I'm sorry. It was an unforced error.
Unforced error.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Thank you for being so candid about that. And the other case is, they may go, you got the immunity case. Yeah. And everything else, I kind of think, hinges on the immunity case, which will be decided in July, right?
This court surprised me so much with the Dobbs decision.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That I'm out of the game of trying to guess what the Supreme Court is going to do, unfortunately. And I'm a member of the Supreme Court bar. I've never seen anything like this before. Yeah. So they would have to twist themselves up into pretzels to find him immune from any prosecution of a crime. Yeah. But they've twisted themselves up into pretzels before now. So I'm just not sure.
Can I open my present now?
Open up your present.
Okay, I'm gonna open my present.
Yes.
I have this, by the way. I've got, this is the first, right?
That was my first book.
This is the first book that Sunny and I, and do you remember I did the talk back? This was during COVID.
You did.
Yeah, and we had to do it all on Zoom.
We did it on Zoom,
crazy.
and you've always been so gracious. And then you hosted my book party for Sag Harbor at your home.
You know.
I know.
You know. I'm loyal.
You are.
My friends are my friends, and I know you are as well.
I'm loyal down to the ground.
And so there was summer on SAG.
Summer on SAG. Summer on Oak Bluffs. Summer on the Bluffs. Summer on SAG.
But we both are in SAG.
Yes.
And so, SAG has a rich black history for
black
wonderful.
Folks.
Okay, and then you have.
Now this is Summer on Highland Beach.
Summer on the Bluffs is last. Wait, that was summer
the first
before.
One. That was summer before. And the reason I write these books is because people have heard of HBCUs, right? Yeah. They haven't heard of HBCCs, which historically black, historically black beach communities. It's a federal designation. And so I only write about HBCCs. Do you like it?
I love it. So I got, oh my gosh, so on the beach and on, when you come out on.
Yes, yes.
we'll be able to use these things. Thank you. I don't know if we can show the products, but Sunny,
I think you can.
this
Yes,
is
you can.
We
you
can
can.
show. Okay, so these are fantastic. What is that? Bask?
Yes.
Sunscreen,
Sunscreen.
amazing.
Everybody needs sunscreen.
And then this is I got
It's
a beach
tote.
bag.
Yes,
I got a little
with
thing.
the book.
And I have some other stuff. I got some other bubble.
It's chock full.
Okay, chock full of
It's
stuff.
chock full
so
of stuff.
let's talk. Sunny's books are amazing. So
Thank
first
you.
we had I Am These Truths, which was about Sunny, a memoir about her. Talks about being a prosecutor, a mom.
Yeah.
It talks about things that we talk about.
Yeah.
About your mixed heritage.
Yeah.
That you are Latino.
Yeah.
Do you remember that conversation we had outside of my office?
I sure did.
Where you said, Don, everybody knows that I'm African American, but they don't know that I'm Latina. Like,
And the Spanish is my first language. And
Yeah.
we were, if you recall, we were sitting right next to CNN Español.
Yeah.
And they would never come in and ask me
you to do stuff.
any segments. And it was kind of shocking to me.
And what did I say to you? Lean into that.
Lean into it.
Lean into that.
Yeah.
Because it's all important.
Yeah. It is important. And I will tell you,
Representation is important.
It's so nice that I have Afro-Latinas coming up to me now.
Yeah.
And they're like, you're wearing your hair naturally. You know, you speak for us. Thank you so much. And it's been really a blessing to be received in this way.
Right. So tell me about this.
This is my favorite right now.
Wait a minute.
I know.
Have you, don't, okay,
I know.
I'll let you talk about this, but I'm not giving up on SAG. But
I
go
know.
on.
It's my favorite right now because it is the oldest historically black beach community in the country, and it was actually the summer home of Frederick Douglass, one of, I think, our greatest orators, right? And I found that this little hamlet, unlike Sag Harbor, has really remained the same. We're talking about true generational wealth. People are just passing down the homes to their family members. There's a street, Douglas Street, and I spoke to a group of octogenarians who have lived, their families have lived there forever. There are no Airbnbs, there are no hotels, there are no restaurants, just community. They have dinners at each other's homes. And one of them explained to me that Frederick Douglass would sit on the front porch, and there's a museum in his home is still there, and he would look out across the bay at where he used to be enslaved. And he was shrouded and protected from the scourge of racism in this place. It is so beautiful.
Would I like it?
You would love it. You may not get in because, again, they pass these homes down. And in order to even buy a home, it's almost like the community has to receive you and accept
so
you.
you're camping out with friends.
I've been camping out with friends. I have a friend, Erica, whose home is a family home. And that's how I even found out about it, because I've summered there a long time ago. It's right near Annapolis, but no one knows about this.
Okay.
And they don't. I think the community wants to keep it that way. They're probably not that thrilled that I wrote about it, but I think it's a beautiful story about a beautiful community. You know, I like to write. I write a little bit of smut, but I also like a little bit of elevated beach reads. I like historical fiction.
But it's great. It's great reading these, because the characters are centered around blackness. You don't
you don't see that. And about
often.
women
in a beach community.
And how about multi-generational? I mean, one of our protagonists, Amma, who I thought would be the main one, but she isn't anymore, is in her 60s and found love again. I love that.
I love that too. How did you come up with this idea of writing about? Was Sag Harbor the inspiration? Were the Bluffs the inspiration?
No.
Because people don't know. When you think of beach communities, you don't often think of African Americans.
African Americans, and this excellence that has been around since the late 1800s, by the way. So black folks have had community and some money since the late 1800s. I was traveling to cover one of the cases that I always cover, social justice oriented, and I like to read beach reads because it gets me out of the space that I'm about to get into. And I went around the airport and I didn't see any books centered around black women, multi-generational, on the beach. And I was just like, I go to Sag Harbor, I go to Oak Bluffs, I go to Highland Beach. Why isn't there anything? And Toni Morrison famously said, if there's a book that you want to read and you can't find it, you must write it. And I just got on the plane and sketched out the summer series.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so, oh my gosh, Sunny,
Yeah.
that's really
Isn't that crazy?
That's amazing. No, I think it's great, but that's who you are.
Yeah.
So let me tell you, you have not given up on SAG, right? You're still going to come to SAG in the summer.
I'm gonna be at SAG. They're gonna have a book thing for me for Highland Beach.
Do I have to have another damn book party?
I think you do. Sorry.
But people are going to be mad. They're like, why are you writing about another beach community?
I know. You know, but I mean, the first two were 2 New York Times bestsellers, and I have such a wonderful readership at this point. We've pre-sold a bunch of books, and people are so excited about it.
So,
know?
so I think Sunny has only been jealous of me one time in her life, and that is because we were both about going to SAG in the summer, and Sunny had been going for years.
Yes.
But she'd been waiting for the right house, waiting. I said,
and
then finally I went, and I was renting, and I said, okay, I'm going to buy a house. I'm just going to buy one.
Yes.
And I'm not going to wait.
And I'm still waiting for
still
that same house.
So finally, the house that I bought, Sunny comes. I said, Sunny, you got to come over and see the house. I have a house. You're going to like it. I'm going to renovate it. I said, but come over now.
Oh my gosh.
And then
It's
Sunny
so gorgeous.
showed up. What? How many? 18 people.
I travel with a posse.
And so we had to go get more liquor. We had to go get more food. But we had a great cookout, and it's fantastic.
Your home is so beautiful, and I was truly jealous. I was filled with jealousy and resentment. I still rent that house, and the person has not sold it to me yet, but they will.
It'll happen.
But they will.
But then you may not be able to go to these other places if you do that.
Yeah, I know, because it's a pricey one. But
so, Sunny,
I'm waiting.
How's the view?
The view is great. The view from here is great.
Yeah, I know.
Because I love what you're doing.
Thank you. I love what you're doing too.
But it's great. You know, we're still the number one talk show in the
way.
country. No, I love what you're doing.
Thank you.
We're the number one talk show in the country. People get their news from us, which is humbling, but also it's a privilege, but also it's a huge responsibility, right? We've had presidents on, vice presidents on. We'll continue to have governors on. We have movie stars on. It's this perfect little mix of pop culture and politics, and I feel so privileged. This is my 8th year, right?
Wow.
Yeah,
I remember when you were just filling in.
And filling in and auditioning. You were right there with me when I was auditioning. You were rooting me on.
I was like, lean into it, go for it.
Our offices were right across from each other.
Because it's different when you're on like a news channel. You've got to do like news. You got to be news. And I was like, lean into it, relax into it.
You taught me that because I was very much the legal reporter.
Yeah.
And you said, no.
Yeah, and straight hair.
I had the straight hair. Yeah. And you knew me because we would argue off camera. And you were like, do that on the show.
Yeah. But I think people were like, Don and Sunny are arguing on CNN. No. We would argue on camera, and people thought we like hated each other and we were mad. It was never the case. No. And that's how people should be doing things.
And that's what we do on The View, which is what's so great. Like, most of us don't really agree on many things.
Yeah.
I think Joy and I do very often, but we're respectful. We agree to disagree and not be disagreeable. And it's a perfect group with. Right now, I think it's probably one of the best
This is
tables.
a really good cast, as they say, a really good group of co-hosts.
And we like each other.
Yeah, and that's important. You had, I had Whoopi sitting in that chair not just a couple of days ago, and she was fantastic. And her book is amazing. And I learned from a lot about her.
I did too, and we both knew her. And I sit across from her every day. I've sat across from her every day for 8 years. I've been to her home. My kids have been to her home. I've spoken to her at length. And to learn those things, because she's actually a very private person. She was very vulnerable in that book.
What I love about the show is that you have OGs, right? You have people who have life experience, who can really carry a show. You know, you've got to have something. You've got to have lived in order to really carry a show for people to feel you. But then you have the young people who are there, who bring you.
Who are figuring it out.
Yeah.
I mean. Poor Alyssa's figuring it out in front of 3 million people, but she's figuring it out, and that's nice. And I think to a certain extent, Sarah's also figuring it out.
Yeah.
I'm a little older, so I don't know that I'm figuring it out.
No, you're not figuring it out.
I'm not figuring it out, but
you've become more comfortable, and you share your view a lot more than when you first came on.
Yeah, and it's risky. Right? People, I think, worry about their brand a lot.
And they worry about getting canceled.
Yes. Cancel culture is a real thing. I think I'm on the right side of history. And I'm comfortable with that. And if I get canceled, I got canceled because I was on the right side of history, and I'm okay with that.
Who is Sunny Hostin?
Sunny Hostin is authentic and true, and a mom, and a wife and a daughter and a friend.
Asuncion.
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 That's my name.
I knew you were going to say mom. I knew that.
Mom. That's my most important gig.
Sunny, I'm so proud of you. I'm so glad that you're my
hands are
friend, that
freezing.
we've known each other for all these
years
and years.
And I love seeing you soar.
Thank you. You keep soaring. You keep doing what you're doing.
Thank
and
you.
Summer, you should explore more communities and
I will.
enlighten people.
I think I will.
The book is called Summer on Highland Beach by the fantastic and lovely and smart and beautiful Sunny Hostin. Make sure that, and watch her on The View, and make sure she's got some other things coming up, but I don't want to jump the gun.
Yeah, I have some things coming up.
Thank you, Sunny Hostin.
Thank you, Don Lemon.
Thanks for watching The Don Lemon Show. Make sure you click on the image in the top right to subscribe to my channel and the thumbnail in the bottom right to watch more content from my show. And I'll see you next time.